Okay, so first things first. I will be using a lot of different terms to describe things. Most often, I just want you to understand what templates are, and more importantly, why the templates are the way they are, and then understand what constraints are and how they are useful and how too many of them can really end up being a real pain to manage. So in the utilities tab of OBM, you can see each of these. This is your libraries of templates. There are a lot of out-of-the-box templates already included in OpenBridge Modeler, and we had gone in and developed a few deck templates, rail templates, pier templates, beam templates for pre-stressed beams, for K-beams, for NU beams, and I just wanted to explain the reason primarily. A few of these came through as applicable, but I don't know that they are. Yeah, I think they are. I don't know that they were far enough along in development before getting loaded into KDOT's templates file. So final thin deck for your thin slabs, girder bridges. You can see that the templates were started at profile grade. They were drawn clockwise around this direction. And honestly, every one of them should be that way. And there's the table here just defines where there are variable constraints. You can click on one and see what the constraints are over here. For point one, right here to define the first right lane, it has a variable constraint of width from profile grade, and then a super elevation for lane right one. And so you can see the constraint for horizontal is from the working point, profile grade, it's 11.999, and the variable name is width lane right one. And then the constraint for slope is from the working point. Right now it's just simply defined at 0.5%, but the super elevation flag is selected on this so that when a super elevation is applied to the bridge deck, whatever is lane right one, you'll see in a future video where to select that, and that will be applied to this lane. So if it's minus 3.5%, then that's what it will apply to this lane. And then next lane over 0.2 to define lane right 2, you're able to define in that super elevation what point. So you would have your working point here as profile grade, for 0.1 to define the first right lane. It would pivot, that slope would pivot about the working point down to 0.1 to define your first right lane. After we're then defining right 2, the pivot point would be 0.1. It would apply the super elevation for lane right 2, right down here. It would pivot about 0.1, apply it to 0.2, so that you could have a completely dome-shaped bridge deck if you wanted to put enough points into the template. I think that's basically all I wanted to say about these templates. I will say additionally that you will see that we did final approach, 2 right, 1 left, 2 left, 1 right, and same thing for final thin slabs, 2 left, 1 right, 2 right, 1 left. The reason you could probably create an incredible number of templates. For the most part, I would anticipate that 2 left, 1 right, 2 right, 1 left is going to work for 99% of the bridges, plus shoulders, plus shoulders. If at any point you only have 1 left lane, 1 right lane, you can choose either one of the templates. Whichever lane out here is non-existent, you would just define the width as 0. The only thing that you have to remember is when applying your super elevation, if I don't have a right lane, a second right lane, the first pivot point is from working point down to point 1. The next pivot point should pivot because point 2, once I define this as 0 in width, point 2 will be right up against point 1. I need to define the pivot point as point 2 for the outside shoulder, point 3. That's the only thing that you have to remember. If there's time to do it, there wouldn't be any problem with saying 1 left, 1 right, 2 left, 2 right, and developing all those templates. It just does take a fair amount of time to set up the templates and to define all of these variable constraints one at a time over here. So just keep that in mind. That is why we selected the two right, 1 left, 2 left, 1 right type templates for the decks, just so it would apply most of the time. And for any of the one-offs where we have a 1 lane ramp bridge, I can still do that. If there is a 4 lane bridge where you've got 3 left, 1 right, I still think that it's possible to do it because it would be fairly uncommon that I think you could do a double lane width of 24 feet and have that apply that lane all the way across 24 feet. It's worth looking into. It wasn't worth us setting up 3 right, 3 left, 2 right, 2 left, 3 right, 2 left. It takes so much time to set up the templates. It just didn't seem worth that time because this was going to cover 95% of the bridges that we're going to be designing. And then any of the one-offs, if we do end up developing a template for it, then we can save it and use it in the future if it ever gets used in the future. So that's just a brief word about deck templates.